For decades, nuclear power has been locked inside a very specific image: massive facilities, permanent locations, concrete domes that take years to build and billions to finance. Nuclear energy has always been treated like something that must be rooted to the ground forever. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if a nuclear reactor didn't have to be massive, permanent, or immovable? What if it could be built inside something as ordinary as a shipping container? That is the radical idea behind Seaborg Technologies, a Danish startup that is quietly attempting to rewrite the rules of nuclear energy. And in 2025, this idea is no longer just a futuristic concept. It is becoming one of the most discussed alternative paths for clean, scalable power. Here on Innovation Corner with Dan, we don't just look at innovation that sounds impressive. We look at innovation that challenges assumptions people didn't even realize they were making. And Seaborg Technologies is doing exactly that. To understand why Seaborg's approach is so disruptive, we first need to talk about thorium, an element that has lived in the shadow of uranium for almost the entire nuclear age. Thorium is not new. It has been studied for decades. In fact, it was once considered a promising alternative fuel for nuclear reactors. But history took a different path. Uranium became the standard, largely because of military needs, existing infrastructure, and political momentum. Thorium was pushed aside, not because it didn't work, but because it didn't fit the systems already in place. Seaborg Technologies looked at thorium and saw something different. They saw a fuel that is far more abundant than uranium, a fuel that produces less long-lived nuclear waste, a fuel that behaves differently under extreme conditions, offering potential safety advantages, and most importantly, a fuel that could enable a completely new reactor architecture. Instead of solid fuel rods and high-pressure water cooling, Seaborg is developing a molten salt reactor. In this design, the fuel itself is dissolved in liquid salt. That liquid both fuels and cools the reactor. This changes almost everything. Molten salt reactors operate at atmospheric pressure, meaning there is no need for the massive pressurized containment systems used in traditional reactors. If something goes wrong, the system does not explode outward. It simply drains and cools. This is not a small improvement. It is a fundamental shift in nuclear safety philosophy. Now combine that with thorium, and you get a reactor that behaves very differently from what most people imagine when they hear the word nuclear. Seaborg's reactor concept, often described as a compact power barge or containerized unit, is designed to fit within standardized shipping dimensions. This means it can be manufactured in factories, transported by existing logistics infrastructure, and deployed without years of site-specific construction. This is where the shipping container idea becomes revolutionary. Shipping containers are one of the most successful industrial standards in human history. They reshaped global trade because they allowed goods to move seamlessly between ships, trains, and trucks. Seaborg is applying that same logic to nuclear energy. Instead of building reactors on site, they want to build them centrally and ship them where they're needed. That alone could slash costs, timelines, and complexity. In 2025, Seaborg Technologies is no longer just an experimental startup. The company has advanced its reactor design, expanded partnerships, and positioned itself as a serious contender in the race for next-generation nuclear power. But their vision goes beyond land-based power. One of Seaborg's most ambitious ideas is floating nuclear power. Reactors mounted on ships or barges, capable of supplying electricity to coastal cities, industrial ports, islands, or remote regions. These reactors could be deployed without altering land use, without large construction projects, and without permanently altering a location. If a site no longer needs power, the reactor can simply be moved. This reversibility is something traditional nuclear has never had, and that matters in a world where energy needs change rapidly. Another crucial advantage of Seaborg's design is scalability. Instead of building one massive reactor, multiple smaller units can be deployed together. Need more power? Add another unit. Demand decreases? Remove one. This modularity mirrors how modern technology systems are built, from data centers to cloud computing. And that's not a coincidence. The world Seaborg is designing for is not the energy world of the past. It is the energy world of AI, automation, electrified transport, and decentralized infrastructure. A world where demand spikes are unpredictable and resilience is critical. Seaborg's entire approach is built around that principle. But let's be clear, this is not an easy path. Thorium reactors face regulatory challenges because they do not fit neatly into existing nuclear frameworks. Molten salt systems behave differently, and regulators are naturally cautious about approving technologies that diverge from decades-old standards. Seaborg must prove not only that their reactor works, but that it can be monitored, controlled, and secured at the same or higher level as traditional plants. Public perception is another hurdle. To many people, the idea of a nuclear reactor inside a shipping container sounds terrifying, not innovative. It triggers fear, not curiosity. Seaborg understands this, and much of their work involves education and transparency, explaining that safety does not come from size or permanence, but from physics and design. In molten salt reactors, safety is passive. If temperatures rise too high, the fuel naturally expands, slowing the reaction. If power is lost, the system cools down instead of overheating. These are not emergency procedures. They are built-in behaviors. That distinction matters. In 2025, as energy conversations shift away from ideology and toward practicality, Seaborg's approach begins to feel less radical and more inevitable. The world is running out of time to build energy infrastructure the old way. Climate pressure is rising. Electricity demand is accelerating. Grid vulnerabilities are becoming visible. The question is no longer whether we need new energy solutions, it's how fast we can deploy them. This is where Seaborg's shipping container model becomes powerful. By reducing construction complexity, they reduce political risk. By reducing project timelines, they reduce financial risk. And by reducing reactor size, they reduce psychological resistance. Small things are easier to accept than massive ones. Another often overlooked advantage is waste management. Thorium-based systems produce waste that remains hazardous for much shorter periods compared to conventional nuclear fuel. While nuclear waste is never trivial, reducing its longevity changes the conversation around long-term storage and responsibility. This doesn't eliminate the problem, but it makes it manageable. And manageability is the key theme here. Seaborg Technologies is not trying to win arguments about nuclear energy. They are trying to make nuclear energy easier to use. That distinction is important. In the history of technology, the solutions that win are not always the most powerful. They are the most deployable, the most adaptable, the ones that fit into existing systems rather than demanding the world reorganize around them. Shipping containers changed trade because they worked with ships, ports, and roads that already existed. Seaborg is betting that nuclear energy can undergo a similar transformation. As of 2025, the company stands at a critical point. Engineering progress is real, interest is growing, but large-scale deployment still lies ahead. Success will depend on execution, regulation, and public trust aligning at the same time. That is never guaranteed. But what makes Seaborg Technologies fascinating is that they are attacking nuclear energy's weaknesses directly. Not by making reactors bigger or more complex, but by making them smaller, simpler, and more flexible. If they succeed, nuclear power may no longer be something societies fear or avoid. It may become something they deploy when needed, move when necessary, and scale when demand grows. That would be a historic shift. We look for signals of where the future might bend. Seaborg Technologies is one of those signals. A reminder that sometimes the biggest revolutions don't come from building larger systems, but from shrinking them until they fit the world as it actually is. The idea of a nuclear reactor inside a shipping container may sound strange today, but the future has a habit of normalizing what once felt impossible. And if Seaborg is right, the future of nuclear power may arrive not as a towering structure, but as a sealed container, quietly delivering clean energy wherever it's needed. Where we don't just explore innovation, we examine how it might actually work in the real world.